Joseph, the favorite son with the fancy coat, has just been betrayed by his own brothers, sold to some Ishmaelite traders, and dragged all the way to Egypt. Talk about a bad week. He gets put on the auction block and is bought by a guy named Potiphar. Potiphar isn't just anybody. He's an Egyptian bigwig. He's the captain of Pharaoh's guard. Think of him as the head of the Secret Service. He's powerful, wealthy, and probably pretty intimidating. But here is the wild part, and honestly, the theme of Joseph's entire life. The Lord was with Joseph. Even as a slave in a foreign land, Joseph doesn't just survive, he thrives. He has this undeniable it factor, and Potiphar notices. Everything Joseph touches turns to gold. If Joseph organizes the pantry, it's suddenly the most efficient pantry in Egypt. Potiphar looks at this young Hebrew kid and goes, "Okay, whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Isn't it amazing how God's favor doesn't depend on your zip code? Joseph was literally a trafficking victim in a foreign country, but because God was with him, he blossomed right where he was planted. Before long, Potiphar promotes Joseph to the equivalent of chief of staff. Joseph is running the entire household. Potiphar trusts him so much that the Bible says Potiphar didn't worry about a single thing except what he was going to eat for dinner. Life is finally looking up for Joseph. Now, the author of Genesis casually drops a crucial detail right at the end of verse 6. Joseph was well-built and handsome. The Bible basically says the guy was a knockout, which is important context for what happens next. Because Joseph is running the house, Potiphar's wife definitely notices him, and she isn't subtle about it. She looks at Joseph and flat out says, "Come to bed with me." No pickup lines, no buying him a coffee first, just straight to the point. Joseph, having a massive amount of integrity, shuts it down immediately. He gives her a very, very logical and spiritual no. He says, "Look, my boss has given me the keys to everything in this house except you because you're his wife. How could I do something so wicked and sin against God?" Notice how Joseph views the temptation. He doesn't just see it as a crime against his boss, he sees it as a sin against God. That vertical relationship is what kept his horizontal morals in check. But she doesn't take no for an answer. She propositions him day after day. Joseph has to literally start playing dodgeball with his schedule just to avoid being in the same room as her. One day, Joseph goes into the house to do his job, and by some weird coincidence or careful planning on her part, none of the other servants are around. The house is completely empty. Potiphar's wife sees her chance. She corners him, grabs him by his cloak, and demands, "Sleep with me." Joseph realizes reasoning isn't going to work anymore. Flight or fight kicks in, and he chooses flight. He literally runs for his life out of the house. The only problem? He left his jacket in her hands. Now she's standing there holding his coat, rejected and furious. She decides to flip the script. She screams for the household servants and completely twists the story. She waves the cloak around and says, "Look at this. My husband brought this Hebrew slave in here to make a fool of us. He tried to attack me, but I screamed, and he ran off, leaving his coat." When Potiphar gets home, she gives him the exact same sob story, making sure to blame her husband just a little bit, saying it was the slave he brought. Potiphar is furious. The Bible says his anger burned. He grabs Joseph and throws him straight into the king's prison, the maximum security dungeon where the political prisoners are kept. So here is Joseph, back at square one. He did the right thing, and he got punished for it. He ran from sin, and it landed him in a dungeon. It's one of those moments where you'd expect him to just look up at the sky and say, "Really, God? I kept my purity. I honored my boss, and this is my reward." But Genesis 39 ends with the most beautiful, comforting repetition. While Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. God didn't stay back at Potiphar's mansion. He walked right down into that dark, damp Egyptian prison with Joseph. He showed him steadfast love. And guess what happens? The exact same thing that happened at Potiphar's house. The prison warden notices there's something different about Joseph. Before long, the warden takes the handcuffs off Joseph, hands him a clipboard, and says, "You're in charge now." Joseph ends up managing the entire prison. The warden doesn't even bother checking on things anymore because whatever Joseph did, the Lord made it prosper. Genesis 39 is this incredible reminder that God's presence isn't an immunity against bad days, false accusations, or unfair situations, but his presence is the guarantee that no matter where you end up, the pit, the palace, or the prison, he is working behind the scenes to write a story better than you could ever write yourself.